we'll get started. So at this point, Madam Clerk, we'll start with item number 1.
Appointment of Gary Keith of 22 Midland Street, Brockton, Mass. 02301 to the Brockton Community Cable Television for a term of 3 years. Invited, Gary Keith.
Mr. Keith? Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Anything you'd like to say?
I'm just hoping that the board finds me favorably that to appoint me to the Cable Advisory Committee. As everyone here knows, I've served already for the past 4 years on the Planning Board and on the Zoning Board, and I believe that I served it very well. I served it to the best of my ability, and I want to continue to serve the city that I live in, the city that I love, and I'm open to any questions that you may have, sir.
Very good. Questions, comments, concerns, councilors? Councilor Beauregard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening.
First of all, I want to thank you for serving our nation. It's always appreciated.
Thank you.
But I'm going to be upfront with you. I will not be voting for you, and it's not a reflection on you and your how would I say it, contributions to the city and who you are. But we're at a point now where there are more men serving on all the governing boards in this city and very few women. And it's to the point where I'm wondering if I need to go to the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination. Women play an enormous role in our city, and I know if tomorrow the women that work for the 4th largest school department in the city, and our great city, I'm facing 2 of them now, didn't go to work, I don't want to think of the ramifications that would happen. It's time now for women to be represented and their voice to be heard, and so this is no reflection on you. You're a man, and I can't support you right now. So, but I'm telling you right now, I'm grateful for all you've done, and I know you'll be involved in our city again, and I wanted to be very upfront with that. So this is not a reflection on you. This is a reflection on the current situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors, comments and concerns?
On the motion?
On the motion, Councilor Fowle.
On the motion, I'm going to preface these remarks by saying I think whenever the mayor appoints someone to a position, it's a great honor. And I think we as a council have a responsibility to evaluate the temperament, the judgment, and the background of a person who's being appointed. So I have a few questions, and the first one is, what is your understanding of what the board does, the Brockton Community Cable Access Board does?
To be totally honest with you, Councilor, only from my association of being on the, as a participating in their forum, talking to Mark Lindy and some of his staff, not much. But at the same time, when I was appointed 4 years ago to the planning board, I was also a novice, okay? And one of the people that serve on the boards, both of them, that I have great respect for, which is Bob Pelagi.
He's a sweetheart.
After my 3rd year there, when we were actually getting ready to appoint someone from the planning board to the zoning board, and my name was brought up to go back to the zoning board, Bob Pelagi withdrew his name. And the statement he said to me was he had no problem withdrawing his name from the zoning board because he saw how much I have grown into my position and the knowledge that I learned in doing it. Now, whether it means anything to anybody here, coming from Mr. Pelagi, that was a very big compliment for me. So I'm not here to play games with any appointment. I didn't do it while sitting on the planning board and the zoning board. As you know, it takes a lot of time out of our personal lives, okay? And I served it for 4 years, and I will continue to do that, and I will continue to learn in my position.
So the fair answer is that you really have no idea what that board does?
No, I don't, not too much.
Okay. All right, when you were appointed to the planning board, I believe that was in 2014, the public record was replete with some issues that swirled around your candidacy, and some of the people who were on the council back then actually commented. Was there a court case in which you were found responsible for damage to a rental unit and money owed to the landlord and a judgment entered against you? And if so, has that been satisfied?
There were actually 2 judgments that were against me at 2 different times. And yes, one has been satisfied, and the other one there are still payments being made to. However, I would like to say that when you're renting, sometimes, and this is no excuse at all because it was found by the courts, and like I said, restitution has been being paid. However, against my better judgment, that's a bad choice of words. Was it or should it have been? No. But at the same time, I'm actually doing what the court ordered, and there has been payments being made, which I can show you that proof on that, and I can also show you the proof that the other one has been satisfied, which I do agree with.
Okay, the other public record is a fine that was levied by the Office of Campaign Political Finance in the amount of $1,375 for not
Satisfied,
filing.
sir.
I beg your pardon?
All satisfied.
That's satisfied?
All
because
satisfied.
as of today, it was still listed as active.
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I guess my last question is, and we've heard this, and you and I have been together with some other councilors for a few years, that you have extensive experience in law enforcement.
I do.
Where did you work? What department and for how long?
Sir, I worked in the Department of Corrections here at Bridgewater. I worked at the University of Pittsburgh Police Department. I worked at the City of Pittsburgh Police Department. I worked at the Boston Housing Police Department. And that totals over 20 years, sir.
Okay, as a sworn police officer?
As a sworn police officer, sir.
Okay. I just found it odd that you wouldn't specify all that on your resume, because it certainly is something to be proud of.
It is something to be proud of.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other? Councilor Sullivan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. Keith.
How you doing, Mr. Sullivan?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I'll be quite blunt, Gary. Relative to social media, you're a very big proponent of social media. But recently, I personally took offense to some social media writings that you did relative to this esteemed body, the City Council, specifically talking about the Martin Luther King NAACP breakfast,
Correct.
which I haven't missed the 12 years I've been a City Councilor. But I believe, and I'm going to paraphrase it, I don't have it 100%, but what you're saying is that City Councilors do not miss St. Patrick's Day or missing drinking green beer. I thought that was a shot that didn't need to be done, number one. And as an Irish person, I was like, what is this? What are you talking about?
Well,
so I'd like you to clarify that if you could.
I will clarify it. There are some members of the City Council that have not attended the Martin Luther King breakfast, okay? And as you know, for the past 3 elections, I've also ran, okay? And I take Martin Luther King as seriously as you take St. Patrick's Day, okay? And there's no offense, it's just St. Patrick's Day was the day I used, because I see that on St. Patrick's Day, which is not a legal holiday, everybody is there, okay? I mean, it's like the calendars are set aside and cleared for that day. That's okay. But at the same time, I talked to a lot of councilors, okay? And I won't say a lot, it wasn't the whole body, but I talked to councilors who have in their, hey, how come you didn't make it? Well, I had a previous agenda, okay? But it was the same people over the past 4 years. So I did make that comment, and I stand behind that comment, because one thing I will do is that my yes will always be a yes and my no will always be a no. And it wasn't to offend everybody, but it was to awaken some people that, you know, it's being noticed that, you know, we have a big diverse community here in Brockton, you know, and as much as we support everything, I believe that we should give that same effort to everything that goes on in the city. Okay, so it wasn't towards you personally. You and I have talked on plenty of occasions, and I've always been able to approach you, and vice versa. So if it was something personal towards you, I would have told you so. You know, but I'm not going to back off of my comment. I did make that comment.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Any other comments or concerns from the
If
council?
everyone's spoken.
Is everyone back to Council Fowler?
Yeah. Just for the benefit of Mr. Keith and my colleagues, I'm just not going to support someone who has no idea what the position is about. I don't think that's doing a service to our residents. I don't think it's doing a service to the board. That particular board sets policy for Brockton Community Access. It has budgeting responsibilities. It has personnel responsibilities. And it just seems to me you've got to have some basic understanding of the job which you're entering into if you're going to be able to make coherent and competent decisions. And the other thing I might add is, and this applies to all of us, Mr. Keith is once again a declared candidate for office. I do not believe that elected officials should have any policy-making role with respect to the media. That's why we see people who are commentators on TV and they become candidates and they're immediately booted off. And it just shouldn't be. It should be, the media should be free of any and all political interference, policy making, or anything else that comes from elected officials. And I thank the chairman for recognizing me again.
Thank you, Councilor.
Mr. Chair, if I may address the councilor.
Mr. Keith.
First of all, sir, the election is over, and I have not declared my candidacy again for another position as of this time. But when you talk about experience, when you ran for mayor the first time, what experience did you have?
I can
Okay.
answer that if you like. I had 10 years on the school committee, including budgeting, collective bargaining, public safety and security, curriculum subcommittee, and I had a master's degree from Boston University in education.
Well, I have an associate's degree in administration of justice. I also have management experience of owning my own company, which is Bostonian Security Corporation. Okay, so you know, experience is something that you learn as you go along. Okay, and you can be book smart all you want, you can be classroom smart, but going into the mayor's position was a totally different position for anyone. No one runs for the mayor's position with experience. No one runs for the president's position with experience. And I just want to put that out there.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. We have a motion on the floor. It's already been seconded. What's the wishes of the committee, the council? To send it forward? Motion's been made and seconded to approve. All in favor? We usually do with hands, are we at finance? Yeah, just tell me what tell me what you want to do.
Yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? It goes back to the finance committee with unfavorable recommendation.
Thank you.
Item number 2, Madam Clerk.
Order appropriation of the total grant in the amount